One. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Between the Lanes, episode number 50. I'm Ron Hirschman.
I'm Shane Parent.
And we also have a special guest, which you can't see right now, but we'll bring him in a little bit later. So to get the ball rolling, we will go here. And, of course, you can find Between the Lanes on YouTube. You can leave comments there, suggestions, and messages. You can also find us on Facebook on Between the Lanes Facebook page. And we're going to get to the race results. Not a whole lot to report from last weekend, but nonetheless, the winning report. So I think this was the first Gator Retro Racing Region Enduro race, if not the first, maybe the second. But it was held at the Raceway Biz, Melbourne, Florida. They ran retro coupe cars. They had 8 teams, and there were 3 men per team. I think it was a 3-hour race. Not 100% sure on that. But, what is it with enduro races and birthdays?
I've seen that.
You seen that? So it was someone's 70th birthday.
It was Terry Tawney. I think it's his last, Terry Tawney.
Terry Tawney was your birthday boy. And happy birthday, Terry. And I really didn't realize he was 70 years old. I never would have guessed that. But
I know talking to Bobby says that he knew he was getting up there in age, but I'm with you. I'd have never known he was 70.
He's still rolling pretty good for 70. So the winning team was Mike Brissett along with Mike and Aaron, and I don't know their last names. Do you know any of these guys? If you do, you can jump in.
I know Biscuit. That's about it.
So that was your winning team, Mike, Kyle, and Aaron. And then second place was the Evil Bucks team with Tony P., Grant Stevens, and Danny Zona. I know all those guys.
Yeah, I know Danny.
And the third place team was TML with the birthday boy Terry Tawney and Matt and Lewis. And they also had the Pacific Coast championship races at Slot Car Raceway, Roanoke Park, California. And they ran stock cars. The first night, they ran I think starting on Wednesday or Thursday, and they ran a class or two each night until on Saturday. Then they ran, I think, the wing car classes. So it's kind of hard to follow the Facebook reports. So if this is wrong, someone will send me a message. But the way I seen it, in the NASCAR class, Big Jeff was the winner. Chris Cross was second. Couldn't make out who was third. And then in the LMP class, it was Big Jeff the winner, Chris Cross second, and Brian Nudie in third. Euro 30 second. Jason Hooper was the winner. Ryan McDaniel was second. Herman James was third. And we also have Fred Hood in there along with Vegas. And then this would have been, I believe, the Group F podium with Vegas, your winner, Jason Hooper second, Brian Nudie third. Box 12 was Frank Sarkalo, your winner. Chris Cross was second. Jason Hooper was third. And there's that. Let's see. This, I believe, was the 27 light podium with Jason the winner, Vegas second, Steve Hilton third. And there was also a Euro 32 race. Jason Hooper was the winner, Ryan McDaniel second, Herman James third. I guess I already said that. Anyway, there was also a 24th Euro Sport race, but I didn't see any results. So I don't know exactly who the winner of the 24th Euro Sport race was. It looks like they had 5 entries, but there was a picture of 5 24th Euro Sport cars there, but no screenshot of lap totals or anything like that. So
Sunday.
You're a little late, but you were good. So this Sunday is the Retro Race of Champions at Mid-America Naperville. And that's the race for the ring. And the race is honoring the late Dave Sano Fiedler. And I'm trying to think. There we go. There's the champions ring, the overall champions, and the overall champion of the invitational side of it. That's the ring for them. So,
Time you picking me up at the airport?
what time you getting there? I'll send Terry over.
We'll say 12. 12 seems like a good number.
Okay. Also coming up, October, 2 weeks from this weekend will be the FNRS Flexi National Racing Series race at Staunton Speedway in Staunton, Virginia. We'll talk more about that next week. And, of course, that same weekend is the start of the, sometime next week is the start of the USRA Wing Car Nats down at P.A. Watson's slot car track in Houston, Texas area. And a couple weeks after that will be the first annual NASRA Wing Car Nationals. Slot Cars Are Us, the track in White House, Tennessee. And last week was the sign-up. Saturday was a sign-up for the 24-hour enduro race to be held in February at Mark's Model World. And, we did sign-ups, and that filled up pretty fast.
And it looks like pretty stout teams, too, just by the names I see.
I mean, I knew there was a lot of interest, and I was thinking we were going to have probably 9 or 10 teams signing up.
Right.
We actually had 9, so we do have an alternate team. But then there was talk that alternate team might team up with another team, so.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, because I seen there was one team that had like 4 people.
Well, yeah, and they're going to be adding names,
Right.
Not all the teams have 8 racers. I mean, you can have 4 to 8. It's your team option. A couple of teams I talked to said they would add maybe 1 or 2 more, or they were talking to more people. So it'd be really cool if we had 64 guys there. But
I mean, it could definitely be done, especially considering where it's being held at.
And we definitely have 32 guys, 32 plus guys. So at this point, should be a good race and a good attempt. So before we end this and introduce our special guest, we have some giveaways tonight. We got some Herminator tires, and we got a couple of ET motors from Mid-America Products, and Tracks on the Move. That could be a new segment. So earlier today I seen that 2 of Randy McNulty's tracks that he previously owned, he's now sold, and they've been moved to Gatlinburg, Tennessee. One is a hill climb and one is an oval track. And Shane will give us a little bit of history on those tracks because he's more familiar with them than I am. So, what do you know?
Which one you want to start with?
Whatever one you want to start with.
The hill climb. Well, I know, like we were talking before the show, the hill climb used to be in Abbeville, and before it was in Abbeville, South Carolina, I have no idea where it was at.
I can tell you what. That came from that. Well, I came from Mid-America. That was Jeff Bechtel's Mid-America Raceways, where that hill climb grandstand came from, because Jeff sold it to
Don.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know how long it was in Abbeville. It was there several years, if I remember right.
Yeah, it had to be there. I would say at least 6, if not longer.
Okay.
I raced it a couple of times before Randy purchased it. No, Randy didn't purchase it. It was another guy purchased it and opened it at 109 Raceway.
Okay.
And then that's when Randy bought that raceway out and ran it for a little while. Now I'm confused. No. That track's been to so many different places. Now I'm confused because I've raced on it at like 5 different locations.
Okay.
So is that Abbeville? From Abbeville, I want to say it went to Inman, maybe.
Okay.
At some point in time, it was in Inman. We raced on it at Inman, and then it was at 109. That was in North Carolina, and then Randy had it whenever Randy bought it about 109.
Okay. So
Yeah, that sounds about right. I
so
said it's been in a lot of places, so I've been all over.
okay, so you've probably raced on it in 3 different places.
Abbeville, 109, Inman.
Oh,
Yes, 3 places.
okay. So did Randy then get it from Inman and put it in storage, or did he use it for a while?
I believe when Randy acquired the track, it was at 109, and then whenever he closed 109 down, that's whenever he put it in storage.
Okay.
I believe.
Okay. What about the oval?
The oval. See, I don't think he sold Tennessee an oval track. I think he sold Tennessee they called it like an orange track that he had at Granite.
Okay. Because I thought he had posted a picture of an oval with orange sidewalls and an oval with blue sidewalls.
Well, Randy has like 10 tracks.
Right. Okay.
He has an oval with blue sidewalls that came from Anderson, which was also, I forget what year it was, but it was a Nats track.
Yeah, 2002, I think.
But I think he still has that one, and the oval that he just recently sold and set up in Illinois, I think that was the oval that Abbeville had.
Gotcha.
And I think he sold the hill climb, and then they always called it the orange track that he had at Granite Quarry, which that was used to be in either Pickens or Easley.
Okay.
And then before or after that, he had it set up at Granite Quarry, which was another establishment that he had.
Okay. So,
like I said, he's got so many tracks. It's hard. I can't keep up with them.
Tracks on the move. So now there's going to be a new raceway in Gatlinburg, Tennessee.
Yes, and by one of the pictures, it looks like there's a big Ferris wheel in front of it.
Okay. Don't know. All right, so I think we're done shooting the crap about old tracks, but
Yeah.
I can't think of anything else newsworthy since the last episode. But so tonight, long time been trying to get this special guest on the show, and I think since last September, to be honest with you. So finally, things have happened, and so tonight's special guest has been involved in slot racing and the industry for many years now, and he hails from the north. And without further ado, we are going to bring on our special guest, Ernie Mazzetti. Hi, Ernie.
Hi, Ron.
How are you?
Good. How are you guys doing?
We're good.
Good.
We're better now that everything's working, so.
Yeah. I'm not very technical.
Oh, yeah, you're not technical. Designer. Okay, so like I always say, everyone has a story. And I don't think we can cover everything about your story in an hour or so, but we'll start the ball rolling. So,
sure.
What I'd like you to tell us is, I guess, when did you start? How old were you? Where did you start? Things like that.
Wow. Well, I started in '64.
Okay.
And I was 8 years old. I discovered a little slot car track. Hang on a second.
Okay.
I discovered in a department store that had a slot car track set up at Christmas time.
Okay.
And then shortly after that, a few months later, I found a commercial raceway, and I started going there in '64. And I stuck with it. I started going racing in the U.S. My first race out of the country was at Joel's in 1977. Used to have the Christmas party.
Right.
And I went down with an old friend, Bruce Adamson. So that was my first adventure. And that was back in the days where it was just wing cars. Everybody ran open cars, but there were 4 different categories, as I remember.
Yep. So, semi-pro, pro, amateur.
Right.
Novice or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
So, okay, so I'm going to ask you about a rumor because years ago, did Canada or maybe Toronto have some kind of law about slot car tracks being arcades and so many lanes or some kind of...
Right. Then they try to lump it in with arcade games. So
okay.
Yeah, there was something in some areas where you couldn't have a slot car track because they considered it an arcade game. And in
Okay.
fact, when I opened up my first raceway, I actually had to go to court and spend money with lawyers and finally get sort of a special permit to do what we were doing.
Okay.
And it is tough up here sometimes, definitely.
Okay. So you start racing in '64, and of course you evolve over time, and I guess probably running. I know you ran wing cars, in '77, but did you?
Right.
A lot of 32nd scale racing in there, wasn't there, between '64 and '77?
Yeah, Toronto was pretty good. They had a lot of clubs, a lot of 4-lane wood tracks in guys' basements, and usually every week you could go somewhere, either a Friday night or a Sunday afternoon. You could always catch a 132nd scale race. It was all scratch-built stuff. It was all brass chassis, piano wire, C-can motors, that kind of stuff. And a lot of the bodies that we used were the ones from England, from Beta.
Yeah.
Beta bodies, yeah.
Okay. So 77. Okay. So, you were a racer up to a certain year. You decide to open a raceway. Tell us about that.
That came about in 1989, 1990. I don't know exactly what the impetus was, but there were a few guys that were interested, and we put together a bit of a group, and guys put money into it, and we got it going. And that lasted in various places till about 2006, I want to say. So it lasted for about 17 years. Yeah.
Okay. And then the name of Ernie's Raceway was Race World that whole time, right?
The whole time, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So some of our viewers will know this, some won't, but you also hosted the 1999 Israel World Championships.
Correct, yeah.
In Toronto in the hotel. It was a great time, a good race. And your track at Race World was an Ogilvy, correct?
That was an Ogilvy track, yes, which ended up going down to Loop Heroes.
Okay.
And sadly, that was part of Hurricane Sandy, where he got flooded out and the track just got destroyed.
Yeah, the road course. Your hill climb was an Ogilvy also, wasn't it?
I believe that all the tracks I've ever had were Ogilvies. Yes,
Okay.
yes, correct, yeah.
That
The
Canadian
first one was as I recall, was about his 20th track, and then I think he got up to like 300 or 400 tracks, something like that.
Yeah. And then sold out to Brian Crosby, and he has since passed. And are you in contact with Steve? Is he doing any tracks at all?
As a matter of fact, we could be opening up a raceway sometime late in the fall.
Right.
And Steve lives about 3 hours from me, but I contacted him, and he was keen to build tracks again. He said he wouldn't mind building a couple of tracks. So we're going to build a couple of 6-lane tracks. He'll prepare them, and then we'll finish them off. He'll do the routing and the slots and the sidewalls, and then I'll paint them and braid them and stripe them and all that kind of stuff and wire them. Yeah.
Okay. So now let's talk about Ernie, the chassis designer engineer. But before we do that, okay. What was the first Israel World you went to?
First Israel Worlds would have been 96 in Italy. So
Okay. And you didn't go race, did you?
I did.
Okay. He froze up. He'll be back. Maybe.
I think he got a phone call.
I did. I definitely went to. Am I still coming through okay?
Now you're good.
I might be having some power issues. Okay, good. Let me just make sure my phone's got power coming to it. Hang on a second.
Okay.
Hang on a second.
Maybe one of the
Sorry,
raccoons.
guys.
Maybe one of the raccoons chewed through the.
There we go.
Okay.
No, I just
Said
forgot to plug it in. I forgot to plug it in.
Well, he was telling me that there was more raccoons per square mile in Toronto than anywhere in the United States or the world.
Anywhere in the U.S. Yes, correct.
In the U.S. Okay, so
Yes, that's because we feed them well here. But anyway, yes. First Israel Worlds would have been Italy in 96,
okay,
which was in a town called Forlì, which is close to Modena, where Ferrari comes from, that area there. So that was my very first Worlds.
okay, because I remember, and I don't remember what year it would have been, but you went to the Israel Worlds and you came back all fired up, and you said you were going to start designing cars for the next year's Worlds.
Yes.
So I guess my question is, when did you design? I mean, I know you scratch built for years, but when did you design like your first laser cut or EDM kit cut
First EDM car was 1990, 1/32nd scale.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was done fortunately by a guy who was one of the guys that came to the raceway who happened to have a shop where they made components for cars and stampings, and they had an EDM machine. So I hooked up with him and did all the drawings. They inputted everything. And interestingly enough, the guy that inputted the drawings back then is now the guy that makes the tooling for the Flexi car. So
Cool.
25 some odd years later. Yeah.
That was a
20
30.
years.
That was a 32nd Eurosport car, correct?
Correct. That was the first one. Yeah.
And is that the same design that you ran and won the '93 USRA Nats with?
Very similar. Yeah. I think the one at the Nats was a little bit lighter,
Okay.
but same basic concept. Yeah. Definitely. Fairly short cars. Nobody thought to have length rules for cars. In fact, the length rules for ISRA were instituted in '96 at the Italian ISRA Worlds at that time. So they put a length to all the cars. I think some of the widths might have already been in place, but I can't remember. But definitely at the meeting after the race, they instituted the length rules.
3 years after the infamous limo in Atlanta.
Exactly, yes. Yes.
So,
That's right.
That's where that was going. I was like, yeah, I see where this is leading to.
that car everybody write rules. So,
Yeah.
So let's see. So you're doing the ISRA thing. I mean, you've always been like, this is my opinion, you're kind of hit and miss. I mean, you don't go to every big race. Sometimes we don't see Ernie for a while. Then it's like Ernie gets a bug up his butt, cuts a new car, and goes and wins, or has his drivers win with it. I mean, we talked about this on the phone a while back. I think every chassis you designed wound up winning an ISRA World Championship.
Everything except Formula One. I've never won a Formula ISRA race, but the 24th stuff. Back in the 90s, I sold a lot of stuff into the UK, a lot of stuff into Italy, and it was quite successful then. And then I was also racing over here so I could develop it. And then in 2000, I stopped. And it's difficult to sell stuff if you're not exactly there to race it or at least promote it, show people how it works and stuff like that. So.
Okay, so then when did you design your first 32nd plastic car?
Oh, gosh, that would be about 6 years ago now, 7 years.
Okay. Because I don't think everyone knows that MR Racing in 32nd is Mazzetti Racing.
Right.
So I don't think a lot of people know that you...
It's a bit odd. The 32nd scale Homestead stuff goes under the banner of MR Slot Car,
right,
which conveniently reads like Mr. Slot Car, but it's actually Mazzetti Racing Slot Car. And all the Flexi stuff is Mazzetti Racing. So those are the two divisions.
So see, because I wasn't sure when you designed your first 32nd plastic car, Homestead car. So do you remember what year it was that you designed the Titan chassis? Like your first Flexi chassis, right?
First Flexi chassis. That would probably be, I'm going to guess, maybe almost 20 years. I don't know, 20, maybe 18, 17. I can't remember.
Okay.
People show me Eurosport cars that I've made, and I can't even put a year to what.
Right, but I'm talking about the Titan.
Right.
Flexi.
So like I said, I can't remember. At least,
okay.
I would guess at least 15 years, I would guess.
Okay, because see, at some point I'm going to get time, and I'm going to do this big history of Flexi car chassis and it'll be in there. So I guess tune in to a future episode to find out exactly when.
Right, and I'll try to find out in the meantime.
Okay, so the Titan kind of went away over time. I mean, of course, other cars were designed that were, I guess, better, faster, which is generally what happens. So then,
that was right about the time. That was about the last, shall we say, above chassis motored car. I think after that point, the motors were all flush with the bottom, and I think that's where it really changed things.
Right. So then, 2 to 3 years ago, you got a bug up your butt and decided to make a new Flexi chassis.
Exactly. As a matter of fact, the reason that whole thing came about was I was changing factories in China, and there was a big lag between production of models because we had to move tooling, create new stuff and stuff like that. So I thought I'd maybe try to do something to make a bit of extra income. So that's where that came about.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's been kind of successful.
And it's been good for me. Yeah, I've been pretty happy with it for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think Shane has too.
All right. I can't complain.
It's been
None.
good.
So
Good.
yeah. So anyway, we got Ernie the raceway owner, Ernie the racer, Ernie the designer, Ernie the plastic car manufacturer, and I mean, you just recently came out ready to run cars with
Yes, it's true.
a specially designed chassis for ease of use, user friendly, I guess I want to say.
I would say so. That was the whole intent. Yeah.
Right.
Something the raceway owner doesn't have to worry about motors moving and kids stripping gears and bodies tearing through and stuff like that. So there's a lot of time that goes into it. A lot of time. There's reinforcements everywhere. There's even protection above the guide flag. Between the guide flag and the body, there's a laminated sticker in there to help prevent scratching and stuff like that. And of course, the side pin tube, the side clip mounts, they're reinforced with some mylar so that it's good for keeping the pins from.
So where did the I don't know if you want to tell or not. I don't know what the deal was, but what happened to the 8 cars we used at the Flexi Palooza race on the oval track?
They're still in Detroit.
Okay. I mean,
I had to rush home that we had to leave early, so I couldn't really take my cars with me. So.
Well, I know, but I mean, somebody had said that they thought maybe Randy McNulty took them or something, and I said, I don't know. I said, all I know is those cars took a hell of a beating and kept on going. I mean, Shane wasn't in the race, but he was kind of watching. And
I watched in between naps.
yeah, I mean, and the cars held up really well. I mean, we didn't lose any gears. We didn't have any motors move. The only thing we had as one an opinion was kind of moving around, but we fixed it with some Loctite. So other than that, I mean, the cars were great. So,
well, that's what I hoped would be the case. I mean, you know, every kid's going to be starting out. He's going to be smashing his car from wall to wall, and you know,
right.
You just don't want to disappoint the kid and make it hard for the raceway owner to worry about broken parts and gears, and kind of stuff like that. So, plus, it's easy to change motors. It's just 2 screws.
Right.
It's secured that way. There's no soldering required.
Right.
Except for the wires to the motor. Everything else is all plug and play.
Okay, so like I said, we have Ernie the chassis designer, Ernie the raceway owner, Ernie the racer, Ernie this, Ernie this. So tell us about Ernie the promoter, and what do you want? Do you want to say anything about Flexi Palooza, like where that idea came from, and what was your reason?
Yeah, I follow the posts obviously on Facebook, and I see these guys trying to sell tin can motors for $25, $30, $40, $50 a piece, and I'm going. I mean, I've been to Chinese motor factories. I've seen how they make them. Right. I know what they cost when they leave the factory. So when you see guys doing stuff like that, and these motors aren't designed for slot cars anyway.
Right.
So, and I just figure that guys, as we all age, we don't want to be spending so much time prepping stuff and worrying about having to have 20 different kinds of tires and testing 5 or 6 bodies and all these motors. So I thought, well, we'll try something and see if guys will go for something like this. And the response was great. I mean, we had 56 committed racers and about 4 or 5 no-shows who could make it for other commitments. And I think next year at Mark's Model World, I'm sure we'll get a full field. I'm sure there'll be a lot of interest in there. So, I mean, I don't want to say it's a self-serving purpose to do something like this, but it's good to keep the hobby at the point where people are keen and feel that they got a fair chance of at least having a fast car.
Right.
You know, one thing they can't blame is their driving, but they can at least start to blame the fact that some guys have motors that some guys don't have.
Sure.
And so on and so forth. So.
Right. Yeah. Oh, no, I think the race was a great concept, great idea. I mean, I think that's why it was so well attended, because it was very simple to get ready for that race. And I mean, what was your take, Shane? I mean,
it's the same thing. You know, like I said, you didn't have to bring really anything.
Right.
I was sitting there packing, and I'm thinking, okay, what exactly do I need for this race? It's like, well, I guess I really just need a chassis, because I know what bodies are going to be ran. I know what tires, motor or whatnot. So it was simple, because it's just like, I just need a chassis.
Yep. I mean, it was simple.
It wasn't really
running
Wasn't
two
much prep.
motors and 4 pair of
Yeah.
tires and hope for some luck, I guess, in some points. But no, it was like competitive. I mean, every race was competitive.
Yeah.
And even with equal equipment, like I said, if everybody has equal cars that go the same speed, there's still a disparity because of driving. And maybe some tuning in there, but but no one had some huge speed advantage or guys that come to races with 50 pair of tires, they didn't have an advantage because
Sure.
and
And what's interesting at the end of it all, the fast guys are always fast, the middle guys are always in the middle, and the guys that aren't in the middle or the top are usually the same place as they were at the last race where everything was wide open.
Right.
But I think it's the whole perception of going into it and the preparation thing too. Guys don't want to spend 4 hours trying different tires and stuff like that. I mean, we're not all 15 years old anymore. So.
Yeah, or 25 or whatever. So,
I'd like to be 40 again.
All right, so tell us about the Flexi Flats race.
Yeah, that's going to be held on the dates that we tried to shift it around to make it better for all the other scheduled races and other events, but it was tough to move it. So we'll leave it where it is. I think we're going to use a GT body. Looks like we might use a GT body from the Czech Republic, the Mercedes, which I see Jim Radford also carries, but we'll get a special deal and we'll probably go with a an LMP type body as well. So something like that. I can announce now that Herman James is going to be providing tires for us. So that'll be the spec tire for both classes. We're not sure what pinion we're going to use, but we're going to use the same motors as we had from John at ProSlot. Same format, except for we'll do single lap qualifying.
Okay.
I think it moves faster and things like that. And we might spread out the racing a bit so it doesn't get so cramped and late and that sort of thing.
Right.
We do a bit more on Friday, but basically same format. Yeah, we'll start announcing that pretty soon. We should be able to start shipping bodies out, I would think, about the 1st of September. So we might open up the registration in about 10 days or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't know if Randy's got the track set up yet. I know they've got it down there safely, but I haven't heard from him whether they've got it set up or not. So.
As of, I would say this weekend, he has not.
Okay.
I spoke with him. He has it in his current building, but it's not set up yet.
Okay. Yeah, I actually happen to be, I live about 5 minutes from where that track was set up. So I met them about 10 days ago. We looked at the track together. They were blown away by how nice the track was. We were talking about the lane markings. They currently have stickers for lane numbers,
right?
But they're vinyl and they're proud of the surface. So I strongly encouraged him to take those off and stripe it, because numbers are very difficult to work with when you're racing. And with the cars running as low as they do, your cars are going to catch that vinyl, and it's not going to be a good thing. Yeah, definitely. But he was impressed with the track, and the track looks brand new. It's really, really nice.
Oh yeah, I looked at it whenever he had it. I think last episode we talked about it. It looks brand new, like you said. Everything I've seen looked pristine. I'm just ready for.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Oh yeah, one thing I want to announce too before I forget. Sorry for interrupting. At that same event, I'm going to schedule a GT 12 race and a Eurosport race, but they'll be more like fun practice races, and we'll do those after the end of the last Flexi race. So those will probably be, depending on time, we'll try to do like about a 4-minute heat, at least a 4-minute heat, maybe a 5-minute heat, and you'll be able to bring and run as many cars as you want. So if you want to test cars along the way, and that hopefully will draw some guys that are thinking about the Nats for next year, and they can bring some cars out and test. So.
Okay, so you're planning on racing the GT and LMP classes on Saturday.
Correct, yeah.
And try and run GT12 and Eurosport after that on Saturday or Sunday?
Sunday. It'd be Sunday.
Sunday, okay.
Yeah. Maybe we can crowd the program and maybe do a bit of racing on the Friday night maybe do, let's say we've got, I'm guessing we might have 6 heats. Not sure we'll have as many as 64 drivers for the flats, but if we get 6 groups, maybe do 3 of the groups on the Friday night and then do the other 3 on Saturday morning and try to move it along a bit better that way. So,
Okay.
and hopefully we can
Sleep
finish.
in on
Maybe we do some races on the Sunday morning. Maybe we do the 3 fast mains on Sunday morning and be over by noon. And that way we can have the GT12 and the Eurosport race an hour or so after that. So,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Cool. So we also recently, and he won't show them, I already asked, but new GT12 chassis.
Correct, yeah.
New 4.5-inch chassis.
New pans.
New pans. And is that it?
Yeah, those were submitted for USRA, but actually, as a matter of fact, today I'm thinking of doing since we're opening up this raceway in the fall, I might do a Bolton chassis like my ready-to-run car, but to fit an FK motor. And then what I'll do is I'll do a pan that has uprights tall enough for a Can-Am car so that people can run a Can-Am type chassis. Maybe we call it Flexi Can-Am or something like that. So that'll be like a non-USRA type car. But
So that would be a scratch build or a stamp car?
Stamp car. But you'll be able to run a Can-Am retro type body on it.
And bigger
on
front.
That chassis. Exactly, yes, yeah.
Gotcha.
Because there won't be enough guys here locally that can build scratch-built retro cars. So there might be a few guys, and maybe we mix them in with the guys that have flexi versions of a Can-Am car.
Right.
So
because I know we've
kind of
talked about that in the past a little bit, but
yeah, we'll see how it flies. I mean, I have the advantage that I can make all these cars on one forming tool, so
right.
I don't have to make another die to make a new car. So
Sure.
So same with the pans. All the pans are still made on the original forming tool. The 4.5 inches, will incorporate a new tool as well. And I'm also on that same tool, I'm producing a metal 2-part chassis which fits under my plastic cars as well as other brands of slot cars in that field. So that'll be a cool thing. Yeah, there's a bit of a push.
And he needs to maybe check his power again.
As well, and those kind of fond of metal chassis.
Technical difficulties.
So there. Sorry. Oops.
Whoops.
Getting a phone call.
Yeah. Let me just cut this phone call out. Hang on a second.
That's okay.
There we go. There's Shane. Okay, good. Anyway, so there's something in the works there as well. There's a metal chassis for home set cars coming as well. So
it's like 1/32nd.
1/32 scale. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. It'll be a 2-piece adjustable chassis. It'll cover different wheelbases. You'll be able to take another manufacturer. It's actually directed at another manufacturer's line of cars, an Italian, which I won't mention. But you'll be able to take everything from that home set car, except for the chassis, and incorporate it into this metal frame. So you'll be able to take the motor pod, the rear end, the guide flag, all that kind of stuff.
Cool.
And there's a really funky little body mounting system that goes with it to help you mount the metal chassis to the existing body mount holes in the plastic body. So that's coming.
So lots of new stuff coming.
And I've made some wing car chassis along the way too. So, yeah. So, yeah, I've got my fingers in a lot of different slot markets, slots.
Well, you were a chassis guy.
I love it. Yeah, I love it.
You've always been a chassis guy.
From when I was a kid, yeah, that was the most intriguing thing for me. I'm not precise enough to make motors. I let guys like you make that. And Dan Miller, I don't have the patience for it. So.
Sell me a motor. Give me a chassis.
Yeah.
Give me a chassis. Give me a motor.
Chassis are okay. Motors, no time for motors.
So well, okay. So you brought up Dan Miller, or AKA Dan Camarelli.
Camilleri, yes, Camilleri. We've been friends for, God, it's got to be 45 years now. Absolutely.
And he makes the world famous PK armatures. And I know that you and him and Ray Nunes and Drew Tarling and Pete
Bruce Adamson and all those guys. Pete Sardella. Yeah.
Sardella.
Yeah.
You guys were kind of like underground racers for a while in Canada, right? In a way?
Well, Well, yeah, we didn't have, we had commercial raceways from like the mid 60s till about 77, 78, and then there was a big lull. I think the next raceway to open up might have been mine in 89, so that would have been like 12 years.
Okay.
So we would travel to the U.S. We'd hop in the car and we'd go to
Right.
the Pepsi 500 in Cincinnati, or we'd go to
Well, that's
Michigan. Where else would we go? We'd go to, gosh, I can't remember now where else we'd go to. We'd drive down to Joel's. We'd be to Joel's a few times and stuff.
because I was thinking that it was 30 years ago, almost in a week or two to the date, that I first met you at a Pepsi 500.
78.
No, 88.
88. Okay.
Because I remember, what I remember is, was it real hot there when, well, yeah, I mean, the Pepsi 500 was, well, it used to be held in February. And then one year, in 88, it was moved to August.
There was a Nats race there too, I think.
There was Nats was there in 81, 80 or 81. Was you there for that?
I think Paul Pfeiffer won that.
No, Ernie Prevetti won that.
Ernie Prevetti won that, okay.
Ernie Prevetti.
There was a race there that I went to that Paul Pfeiffer was so hot. He was sweating so much he actually took his shoes off and was walking around barefoot. And I thought, I cannot believe, I just hope he didn't have to go and use the washroom at that place. I tell you, in his bare feet. I mean,
well, and I gotta tell you a story. I mean, this, I'm not gonna go into a bunch of details, but this last weekend I spent some time in Cincinnati, and I went back to Mount Lookout where the raceway was, and we went across the street and we had hamburgers at Zips, the little hamburger restaurant. Great hamburgers. It's like a little restaurant. They have a bar in there, and you can get beer and stuff. And
yeah.
I remember, when every time we went to Cincinnati, me and Randy and whoever else, we would always go eat at Zips on Saturday. And so we went there. We ate. Zips has been there since 1926. I didn't know that it had been there long, but yeah. So we went over across the street back to the raceway where the door was to go downstairs. And there is actually still the photo. Like they had artist photos of old Can-Am cars on the walls as you went down the steps.
Wow.
They're still hanging there.
Wow.
They're still hanging there. I don't think that basement's ever been used since Grand Prix closed in, I want to say 88 or 89. 89 or 90.
Were those drawings done by Joe Hutton? Because I know he was pretty artistic.
I don't think so. I think they were just something that those drawing pictures were probably there. Another history moment from when Dale Haynes, Bob Haynes' dad, owned the raceway, because it was Dale's raceway.
Wow.
And then Joe and Tim Cedrette bought it from Joe Hutton. Tim Cedrette bought it from Dale or Bob Haynes, and they took it over and changed the name from Dale's Raceway to Grand Prix Raceway. But
I didn't know that. Wow.
The Tri-State Series, USRA Series, always used to have the opening series race at Grand Prix in August because everyone used it as like a warm-up if they were going to the Nats, because it was a king track.
Perfect.
And Randy always
no air conditioning, right?
Randy always called it the Sweatfest 500. I mean, it could be 80 degrees outside or 90 degrees outside, and it was hotter in the basement.
Yes.
And you would go outside to cool off. And it would be always so humid down there.
I never remember putting a sweater on in that basement, that's for sure.
Okay. So if you never – so like I said, I think it was the 88 Pepsi 500 was the first time I seen you and kind of met you. And prior to that, I mean, I'd seen, Ray Nunes and Sardella and every now and then Dan Miller at Midwest USRA races, 82, 83 – 84, and like I said, never really heard of Ernie Mazzetti or seen him until like 1988. So
I think I might have been out of racing during that period. I remember Ray used to race a lot. Bill Wallace-Chuck, and he used to drive down. Dan Miller, Peter. That might have been at the time that I was in school. I was in design school through the early 80s, so that's probably why I took a bit of a break from racing. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, because those guys would come to an occasional tri-state race, and I'm pretty sure it was the Pepsi 500 because you were there. And I know we got done really super late Sunday night. And if I remember right, I think Mike Swiss won that race, but
that was brutal. Then we would drive home 8.5 hours through the nighttime and get home after sunup. We would get home with the rush hour traffic. It was terrible.
Yeah, after going through dreaded customs.
Sure, and not having slept for 2 nights already, so it was bad. It was definitely bad.
It's like I can remember like back, like I always say, it was when I lived to slot race. I mean, like, and the countless nights of no sleep and just around the clock. You'd get to the raceway on Friday. If you were lucky to get 4 hours sleep on Friday night, go to the track all day, go back to the hotel, be lucky to get 4 hours of sleep again, get up, race all day, then head home, get home.
I thought it was still like that.
Not really, no. No,
not at Flexipalooza. I bet you they slept at Flexipalooza.
Yeah, they did. What I'm saying is,
couldn't take your cars home with you. That's why.
Yeah,
it was good.
I just remember, like, you go and you would test and run and run and run. Then it was like pack everything up, take it to the hotel room, and work to the wee hours of the morning on stuff. And then, like I said, 2, 3, 4 hours sleep. Get up, shower, to the track, unpack, set up, start all over again. Saturday night, do it all over again. I mean.
Well, you remember in 1987, I think, the World's in England. Was it 87? Yeah.
97.
97, sorry, 97. You remember the late Salvatore Noviello was up all night testing and thrashing and testing and thrashing. I think they left the raceway or the track was available all night long. Or he sat there all night long testing and thrashing. And they gave him an award for the most dedicated slot racer the next day.
Well, he wound up winning, so.
He did.
It worked.
He did. Apparently it was a pretty good car he had, I think.
It paid off. Yeah, I think it was a Mazzetti car, right? Because you and him were in the main. I mean, you and him were in the main, and I think the only 2 Mazzetti chassis in that main, right?
Yeah, that was like a really special race for me because that car that I had was probably the most magical car that I ever had. I remember I won the semi-A over Paul Garansky by about 16 laps.
Right.
And then I had like a 5-lap lead after the second heat in the main. And then somebody reached out to get somebody else's car, and my car touched theirs. Their hand touched my car, sorry, and I got launched into the end of the straightaway.
Right.
And then I just limped home to last place. But I finished on green. I remember Salvatore was on white, and the Salvatore was about half my height. So he said to me with about 10 seconds to go, he says, "Ernie, please, you got to pick me up after the race because nobody can see me because I'm so short."
He was short.
He was tiny. Well,
I remember you went out. You had problems. You went out. Garansky went in the lead. Then Garansky's body got sucked going down the straightaway.
Yeah.
And we had to change the body, and that's.
Hang on 2 seconds, guys. Hang on.
Right.
Not too long.
Because Salvatore got into a lead, and we couldn't catch him. So.
The raccoons.
He's chasing the raccoons.
Yeah, that's what he's doing.
Oh.
This is going to be an awesome episode.
Yeah.
Chase away some of those raccoons. Sorry.
Okay, so I want to.
Did you hear me yelling?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
So,
It's dinner time. They're wondering where's the dinner.
I tell you, they're pretty nervy. They're just like 20 feet away looking at me.
So what's the difference between an American raccoon and a Canadian raccoon?
I don't know. I guess they eat back bacon and yours eat different kind of bacon. I'm not sure.
Are Canadian raccoons faster than American raccoons?
These guys don't look very fast. They actually don't give a shit. They just kind of look at me and go, okay.
I would say they're probably pretty fat because it sounds like you're feeding them pretty well.
Well, we throw old breadcrumbs out in the garden, hopefully for the birds, but every once in a while we get a bunch of raccoons.
Like I said, we have raccoons here because the back half of my house is all marsh and wetlands. So I have one I named Fred. He just hangs out on the porch. He does. I'll come home and he just sit on the porch, and I'm like, "Hey, Fred," and he don't bother nothing.
Yeah, they look pretty harmless. I think they'll be okay. They'll just eat some.
Oh, the good thing is I don't know about up there, but like here, as long as I feed him and give him water, he doesn't go through the trash can.
There you
All
go.
the names.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
They have bungee cords and everything, but they're like, you don't ever have them. I'm like, nope, Fred knows better, because once he starts getting in the trash, I quit feeding them.
See, Ernie's feeding them, and they're still coming back for more.
Yeah, that's the bad thing. I'm regretting it now. I'm looking at it. I'm gonna have to move inside here. I'm getting outnumbered.
Are you getting scared?
Well, they're getting closer and closer. Let me just give me 2 seconds again. I got to go throw some water on them. Hang on.
Attack of the Raccoon movie. You've seen it here first.
It's Fred's like distant relatives or something like that.
Yeah, long lost cousin.
Yeah, I came home one night and I thought it was the cat, and it's like a damn raccoon. I was like, whoa! I was like, all right. Well, I guess I didn't reach down there to try to pet it or anything.
Yeah, growing up in my neighborhood, we had a I guess a litter or a family of coons that lived a block down in the sewers, and
Gotcha.
they just kept multiplying, and the city could never get rid of them, and they would
Okay, I'm back, guys.
come on a trash night and tear all of our trash up. So one night I had one treat, and I was shooting it at it with a 22 in the middle of the night, like 3 or 4 in the morning, and the neighbor lady yelled at me and
There we go.
put the gun away before Dad got home. But
Yeah.
Okay, I'm back.
all right, you survived. The attack of the raccoons.
There we go. Okay, so we were talking about before that raccoons. We were talking about raccoons.
We were talking about
Oh, we were in the UK and
Okay.
Salvatore. Yeah, that race. Yeah, that was good. And then I held it 2 years after that. So that was a great event. I'd almost like to do it again, but I'm not sure if they'll let me
right. Yeah,
do it
'cause
again. We don't have very many Canadian guys that like to race for us. So.
2 years later, we went to Ernie's and had the Worlds, and then they told me that in 3 years I had to host the 2002 Israel Worlds. So we did that in San Francisco. So after 9/11.
Yes.
Man, look at your eye. Your eye's like right at the end of the screen. You're like looking at.
Sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I've got the hose in my right hand, so I'm trying to flush them away with the hose. So, hang on a second. Sorry, guys.
You know, and Ralph normally has a problem with snakes. So, like, if he was on here tonight, we had the snake on. I mean, this.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna give you my undivided attention. Go ahead.
Okay.
All right. So, yeah. So that's right. San Francisco was 2001.
2, yeah.
That's right. 2002. Yeah. I lose track. And then 2000. And that's when I sort of fell out of touch with it, I think.
Yeah.
And then Roger had it in 2006.
10.
10. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And then again in 2016, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, because it used to be that it had to go out of Europe every 2 years, but it had to go to North or South America every 2 years. And then it got changed to 4 years, and now it's like 6 years.
Is that right? Every 6th year?
Well, I mean, like I said, I had it in 2002. Roger had it in 2010. So that's 8 years.
I think it can come back to the U.S. in 2020, I think.
Right. Well, yeah. That's,
Maybe
then
every 4 years.
it was, if it came to North America and South America was considered like America.
Right.
So,
Yes.
Gugu had
The Americas, yeah.
Yeah, Gugu had it in there a couple of times, I think.
Right.
So, 2020 will be interesting because I think there's going to be a U.S. bidder and maybe a South American or 2 bidder, and then I guess if you throw your hat in the ring.
Probably not. Probably not. Yeah. It's a lot of work, and, like I say, but it's fun. It depends. I mean, if I could do it and not lose money doing it, then I would do it,
Yeah, I really don't see I don't see how you can not lose money doing it nowadays with as many entries.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. In fact, when we did the one in '99, that was good. I mean, we obviously had to pay for the track, and we got some use out of it. And,
Right.
and then we sold it for, an old track. And
Sure.
but
Now, okay, so after you had the 99 Worlds, you had the track in storage. Was the track in storage, or was it set up somewhere like a club for a while?
It was set up in a club for a while. Yeah, we had it for about a year. We had one of the guys from the store had some space where he worked. It was available to us, so we had it there for about a year or so. Yeah, it was pretty good.
And then it went into stores before Lou Piro got it?
No, I think he came to pick it up there, and I think he brought it right down to New York. I don't think it sat in storage. I'm pretty sure Lou picked it up from there. Yeah. And that probably would have been.
And there he went. Phone call, maybe. Hello?
Yeah. Hello again. Hang on a second.
Oh, the raccoon got him. He's gone. Okay.
Yeah. Give me 2 seconds. I'm going to call you right back. Or hang on a second.
All right, hang on. Yeah.
You want to do a giveaway?
Yeah, let's do it. Well, we'll wait till he's come back.
Yeah.
It's almost like he's in Catholic Church. He's up, he's down, he's up, he's down.
Yeah. This is awesome. Because you said Terminator tires and then some ET motors.
We have 4 pair of Herminator tires, so there'll be 4 winners there and 2 Phoenix motor winners. So we will have 6 winners on Racing with Raccoon.
I'm feeling lucky.
Oh yeah, you haven't been polled yet, have you?
Me nor Bobby. Oh, is he shooting one?
No.
Did you hear that?
Unless it's called a Mountie in.
What, he's going to show us?
I don't know what he's going to show us.
Oh, here we go. This is good.
Only from between the lanes. Wildlife.
We're inside.
We're in the house now.
Oh, yeah.
We're in the crib.
Okay.
In the crib where it's safe.
Back inside.
So one more.
That's better.
One more quick question about the 99 Worlds track.
Yes.
Okay, because we raced in England on a Super 8.
Yes. Yeah.
What was your track called?
I think they referred to it as a Super 8 as well because it was similar in design.
But it was different.
Yeah, it was a bit different. Different curves, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
We
never really gave it a name. It never really got...
Yeah.
It was more of an adopted name. We never really gave it a name when we built it. So
I just always called it the Toronto track.
Yeah.
So we're going to do some giveaways.
Okay.
So we've got 4 pair of Herminator tires to give away and 2 Mid-America Phoenix motors. So what am I giving away first, Sean? Tires or motors? Motor. Tire or motor?
You asking me?
Yeah.
Oh, you said Sean. You threw me off guard.
Shane, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was like, all right, let's go. Let's do the motors first.
Do a motor?
Yeah.
So Stephen McCready, who lives in Illinois, that'll be cheap postage for Roger. All right, so Stephen McCready wins the first motor, and we're going to do a pair of tires. We'll do a couple pair of tires and go back to the motor.
All right.
So the first winner, excuse me, hey, I know this guy, of a pair of Herminator tires is Rich T. So Rich T, you need to contact Herman James.
He also has a Facebook page now too.
Yes, I was just going to say that. Herminator Tires has a Facebook page, along with Mazzetti Racing, and Out of Sight Designs, and Fast Ones, and Ralph Thorne Racing, in between the lanes. So go there and like all them pages if you haven't done it. So the second pair of tires go to Danny Zona, Florida racer.
Yeah, old Danny.
And the last Phoenix motor will go to Craig Scharfenberg. I know that guy too. And he's a long time. Hey, Craig, if you're going to the race this weekend, you can pick it up. If not, contact Roger at Mid-America. I should say Phoenix motor. These are ET motors. ET motors. He's got too many motors.
Yeah.
What are we on? Third pair of Herminators go to Nick Brantley. He might be able to use those in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Herminators. And the last pair, Ernie, you're not in here, so you're not going to win. Oh, it goes to your buddy and our buddy, Pete Reams.
Hey, there you go. Pete Reams and Nick.
Yeah.
Oh, Pete. I need to call him or shoot him a message.
Okay, Ernie. So, Ernie, is there anything you want to bring up, talk about, ask, say, tell all? I don't know.
No, just hopefully we get lots of guys to come out to the Flexi Flats. And
November 18th.
November 18th, the weekend before Thanksgiving, your Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Let's see. I've got it down for November. Well, that'd be the 17th and 18th weekend. So.
Beautiful. Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys having me on. Thanks a lot.
Glad you finally made it.
Next time we won't invite the raccoons. So.
Maybe you can get them to sing. Maybe we can use them like Alvin and the Chipmunks to be Ernie and the Raccoon.
Ernie and the Raccoons. Okay, good. Fantastic. I apologize to everybody out there for the shirt debacle with the Flexipalooza T-shirts. It was just
so that's why
a
he
long
waited.
and painful process.
That's why he waited.
Finally,
Come on the show.
we got everybody out. Now we got them all out. I think, Shane, you got yours okay?
Oh, yeah. Everything's
Okay,
good to go. I'll be
Nice.
delivering the rest of them because I got Bobby's and George's. I'll give them theirs. When am I going to see them? I'm actually going to Bobby's, not this weekend, but next weekend for a big car race.
Big cars.
And Shane, what's the mood like down your way in terms of guys wanting to do flexi racing on a flat track? Is there much interest?
Yeah. I mean, there seems to be some pretty good interest in it. I know a lot of guys are coming down. Me and Bobby are really just waiting for him to get the track set up. I imagine once that starts happening, some more interest will probably start happening. So.
Yeah, I think that.
The last flat track, I think, might have been the guy in Georgia where they had the Nats. Or did they bring that track in?
Well, I think the last. Okay, so we went to Atlanta in '94, and we had the flat track. That was Joe Redmond hosted that Nats, and that was in a hotel. And they had the King track in the main room and the road course, which I totally can't think of the name of that, in the other little room. And then,
Scorpion?
it might have been called a Scorpion. And then
I think Anderson got that flat track too, didn't they?
Who?
Anderson?
Yes, that track wound up at Anderson, and we ran.
I think it was a Scorpion.
Yeah, 2002 or 2003 scale nets. Anderson on that track. So that would have been the last scale nets in the South on a flat track, as far as US goes. Now,
yeah, because other than that, the only one I know of is at Chicks in Virginia.
Yeah. And then there could have been an Amsler Nats somewhere, maybe on a flat track. Well, there was the Amsler Nats in Oldsmar, Florida. I'm thinking
I only went to one.
Yeah, I'm thinking that was in 2003 or 4.
Yeah, because the last year I went was the first and last year was 2012, and that was in Thomasville, Georgia.
Right, because, like I said, I think, we've been 2002 or 2002, I think, is when we were in Anderson. Then we went to Mineral Ridge in 2003, and that's where they took the vote to go to Florida, but we wound up going to Portland for 2004, and then Terry Kelly started the Amsler deal and had the first Amsler nets on that. That track is actually now in Columbia City, Indiana, about an hour and a half from me. That they
flat track?
Yeah. Joe Dirt's Florida Orange track.
Oh, okay.
A flat track with a bank in it. I mean, it's got a higher rear back straightaway is up higher than the lower one, and it comes down. You got to blip the bank. I mean, you can't run it. But all the rest of the track is flat. So that was the Amsler Nats in the South. So
I went 1 year, then the following year it was over. And I think the 1 year I went, I caused the big. I wouldn't say it caused the big scene. Everyone thought that I was a Kelly racer in disguise because I won all but one of the or two of the amateur events. So I told Bobby, I was like, see, I go to one race with you and everyone thinks I'm pro.
There you go. There you go. But I think everybody's looking forward to going down to Concord in April for sure. And a lot of guys will go in November to use that as a warm-up race. But I think the key is the sooner Randy gets the track set up, the more interest there will be. So.
Yeah.
It's not, it's not a super difficult kind of track. I mean, it's not the classic MTT. They call it MTT, but actually, by rights, the MTT is much different in design. It had like a triangular donut and different curves to it. So I don't think the guys will have a lot of trouble getting used to it. It's not that difficult. It's really not so bad.
Because we covered that last week, the MTT, the 3 MTT tracks, which thanks for the help on that too. So, because Ernie was my Italy connection to find out what happened to the track that went to Italy. So.
Yeah, sad ending. Apparently, it got water damaged and they just couldn't save it. It got so bad. So.
Well, I was saying on the show last week, the last remaining one of those 3 is owned by Peter Lentros in Ashland, Massachusetts, there with Monteville Hobby, which has the Purple Mile and the Hill Climb and the American Royal. But he has that MTT in storage. And there was rumor of setting it up next year and having the 30th anniversary IMCA Worlds race.
Reunion race, yeah. Revival race, yeah.
Which would be cool.
And is that rumor any more solid or?
No, I have not. Actually, Larry Kelly told me that, and he has talked to Peter in the past, but I have not directly asked Peter about that. So, and I really don't know where Peter would put the track. I mean, and he has other buildings, so it would obviously have to be set up elsewhere because it would not fit where he's at now unless he removes tracks, and I don't see him doing that.
You know if it was braided by sections or whether it was continuous braid?
No idea. Because I was going to ask you, the MTT that Randy them has is braided in sections, right?
Yes, it is. Yep.
And I got one more question for you, Ernie.
Mm-hmm.
The what we called the PK American King track, Blue King, that went to M&M Raceway in Plymouth, Michigan. I'm talking about 1980.
Years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
The original Blue King, the original American model raceways.
So my question was, when back in the day, the 60s when you were racing commercial raceways, and Toronto's a big place, did you know of all the raceways that was open and did you know of all the raceways, say, in 68, 69 in Toronto?
Well, I would have been about 13 years old at the time. I would say I knew O'Connor Raceway, which is the one I used to hang out at. There were some other ones. One was called Tam O'Shanter Raceway, which was another part of the city.
Okay.
Dan or Bill Wallachuk might remember some other ones out in the western part of Toronto. I grew up in the eastern part of Toronto.
Okay. There
were apparently some out like about 40 miles away. But, I mean, when you're 13 years old and your dad's not really into slot cars, you know, that's your ticket to get out there. So,
So was that the one and only Blue King that was in the Toronto area that you know of, or was there others?
Yeah, but I don't know if it was ever set up. There was a Blue King that we collectively owned for a while. We worked on it and cleaned it, got it ready to braid and do whatever, and then we sold it. So it never got set up per se in Toronto. There was another King track, but I don't think it was the same one. It was briefly set up as part of an indoor RC raceway in the Toronto area. But I remember seeing it one day and then it was gone the next, sort of thing.
So the King track that you guys collectively owned, is that the one that wound up at M&N Raceway?
I'd have to ask Dan, because I think he was more involved with that part of it,
Right.
I remember it was black, though. Do you remember it was black?
Yeah, it was a black surface.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember when we went to the race, it was referred to as the PK American King, and or PK Blue King, and that day they set like the American world record, because back then we had American world records and Hossey King world records, and
There's probably should be a world record for every track. But,
yeah, there was only one race on that track at M&M. The track was probably the nicest American King I ever ran on. I mean, it was
really?
it was brand new. I mean, it was like brand new because part of the rumor was that goes back to the arcade thing in Canada where they bought the track. Someone bought the American King, set it up, wasn't open very long, and the city kind of shut them down because they wanted to call it an arcade.
No, it never got set up.
Okay,
never got set up. It never got set up. No.
So,
no.
So much for that rumor. But, because they broke the 3-second barrier for the first time on an American King.
I thought Centerville had it.
No, Centerville had it for the Hossey.
Oh, okay. Well, I remember a guy named Justin Thomas, I think, was the first guy to go under 3 seconds.
Yeah, 297 on the Hossey Centerville King track. And then I'm going to say the following February we went to M&M, but they had already went faster than 297 on a Hossey King after Justin.
After Justin, right.
So then we went to M&N, and I don't remember who it was, but they went like 299. And I can remember Chubb was saying, "Yep, that's an American Blue King world record."
Did it have the dip in the straightaway like the traditional?
No,
all the Kings back then we raced on, all the humps had been, I guess you say removed, but it was braced up or whatever to get rid of the hump. So, because I know shortly after that, I was at a race at Tom Thumb in Columbus, and Randy tied the track record that day, and the record was 299 or 298. Wasn't the world record, but it was close. Because, back then, Group 7 was just an evolving thing. I mean, you could race this month at M&M and go 299 and come back next month, and then the motors were getting smaller and smaller and go 288. So, it wasn't so much the track as it just was the evolving of the cars at that time and the motors mainly. So, yep.
I remember being at Joel's Raceway when Jim DeFalco went 364 on a King track, and everybody thought that was fantastic. His previous record was 377, which was Steve Bogut, which really turned his nose out of joint because Steve was the local guy there, and Jim came all the way down from New York.
Right.
And did a faster lap.
Well, some days you just cut that lap. I mean, the glue was right. I mean, that's back when we glued for one another when we were qualifying, and that really always wasn't the fairest thing. Or if you're a purple racer and you need more glue in the 90 and the black shirts there,
Tons of glue. Those are the days Ernie Prevetti was there. And that's where I first met Reggie Corum in 77, 78. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, we'll be talking about Reggie on a future episode.
Cool.
Because you know what? Here, let me grab something. Being you brought Reggie up.
Braun's chasing the raccoons now.
Do what?
Now you're chasing the raccoons away.
No raccoons here. I'm in the city. So
I'm in the city too. We have city raccoons.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm not going to go into details, but I uncovered some history a few days ago. But so a lot of old people. I shouldn't say old people. People that raced back in the day. Well, remember that Reggie painted bodies, and Reggie had Albright, and that was the name. That was the name of the company. So a couple days ago, I found some old Albright race sheets. So, I'm going to say this was 1980-81. He painted bodies for $3.50 a piece. And like in '82, he was offering painted bodies for $5.99, and some as low as $3.75. Like Wampum bodies were $3.75. So yeah, we'll talk about that on a future show because I'm working on like this whole body history thing. So because someone wrote in and says you need to do a history of out of sight bodies. Okay, it's just a little bit more than out of sight because out of sight was created out of the fact of another body company being sold to another company, and but prior to those, the one company was its own company already. Out of sight was kind of started from scratch, and then there was Kirby in there and Lancer and Dubro, all these other body companies. So we'll try and weave that web in a future show. Might take a couple shows to do it, but so
yeah, 4-part series.
Yep. Well, it's funny because you say, okay, who was the RC racer that went to work for Novak? Novak Electronics, and he was from Milwaukee area, I think. Like Tyrone
Phillips?
Huh?
Tyrone Phillips?
Yes, Tyrone Phillips.
Yeah.
Because I remember someone told me the story about there was a Nats. Somebody had Strachan, Tyrone, and a couple other guys. Like, you can come stay at my house and stay in the basement. And they all stayed in the basement. And Mom kind of freaked out when she went downstairs to get something, and there's all these people sleeping in the basement. She really freaked out. Because the resident racer didn't tell Mom where I had some friends stay the night. But so, all right. Well, I think we're going to wrap this up. So thanks, Ernie.
Thank you, Ron, for having me. Thanks, Shane.
No problem.
Maybe sometime you'll tell us to give away something on the show. I'm not pressuring you. I'm just
next week, definitely.
Next week, okay.
Definitely. Yeah, for sure.
And I'd like to thank Shane. Ralph was tied up, could not do the show this week. I expect him to be back next week. We will see. So
hey, if not, just call me.
You're okay. My backup.
I'll be your backup.
Okay. So thank you.
Order the show.
Huh?
Order the show. I got one.
Go for it.
Raccoon.
Oh, Shane, you left the cat out of the bag. I was going to give a raccoon away next week.
Because I was going to go with Mazzetti because we had Ernie on, but raccoon's so much better. Smart thinking.
So that's got to be it.
Yeah, episode 51 next week, and then which technically should be 52, but we missed a show around Christmas. So we'll be celebrating the birthday in 2 weeks, I guess.
Cool.
More birthdays coming up.
Episode 52.
Good for you guys. Good for keeping it going so long.
Well,
that's a full year of program.
It's been fun. I mean, there's been a lot of stuff I've wanted to do and just haven't had the time to do it and get people like yourself to come on, and because everybody's busy. I mean, it's just hard to. So I got to work harder on that. So
that's good. There's more to come. I'm sure there's lots of stuff out there that people still don't know about.
And there's always a controversy every now and then. So, but I think people like the history and stuff, and like I said, when you guys like you come on, everybody's got a story. So it's always cool to hear the story. And
I've enjoyed listening. It's kind of like, well, I don't really know much about what they're talking about. I wasn't born yet, but it's so cool to hear them listen. So I was just like, I'll listen.
Well, that's all right. You jump in with some good questions and stuff. Is there any question you want to ask Ernie before we leave?
Are my chassis in the mail? I didn't see it with my skirts, so I figured it'd make.
Must be some off-camera dealing going
I think the raccoons ate them, Shane. Sorry.
Oh, raccoons. They take their vitamins and get plenty of iron.
Plenty of iron. Yes. Yes.
That's good stuff.
All right, guys. Until next.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Take care.
Till
Take
next
care. Good
week
night.
episode. We'll see you next.